Oh, this is two episodes in 2 days. Well, one after the other. I just have a lot of ideas coming to me all at once, and I don't know how substantial this particular one is going to be, but this may be a short one. This may be a long one. Who knows? I'm just kind of spontaneously doing this, kind of going at this very, like I'm jumping off the diving board. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going into it kind of cold and kind of like I haven't prepared all the eggs and the materials, and I hate eggs, but to eat them. But I haven't really prepared all the materials for this before before doing it. Um, but I do want to talk about something today, which I think is so incredibly important and profound. Um, and it does have to deal with something is very, very incredibly mystique and David. Can get my thing together here. Alrighty. Now, um, yeah, I'm having a lot of anxiety over my channel lately. When is it going to be taken away again? Well, it's August, it's a new month, and I was sitting here just now with the anxiety and insecurity. So I gave in and I checked, but I'm not going to give in again. Okay, I'm doing this recording right here and right now on Saturday, August 1st. I'm going to decide right here and right now, I'm going to stop checking, even if I feel insecure. Like, I'm done. Done, 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 done. I'm finished. I will not do it again. No. Nope. Fine. It's good. Mercury is out of retrograde. It's been a while since the AI really came down on YouTube. I mean, and let's talk about Mercury retrograde. Oh man, that was tough. I don't know how I'm going to come out the next one in October through November, October 24th through November 13th. Like, it is like you're going, like the day that Mercury station's retrograde. The day that Mercury station retrograde, I had a physical therapy appointment for my pelvic floor there area of my body. And something really didn't, like, something felt off about it. Like, really, really off. It was like, I'm meeting somebody new on the day that Mercury station's retrograde, and her personality, the therapist's personality, um, happened to be very, um, very, you know, ADD, I want to say, very, very kind of hyper and energetic and very enthusiastic and very, very explaining it very, very simple. There's plenty of things to say about this, but I am hoping and praying that the next day following our next appointment, nothing will happen to any of my accounts. Oh my gosh, otherwise it's cursed. If it happens again, it's cursed. We just coincidentally. The Monday, June 29th, the next day I got was access to my channels. July 6th, that Monday, the next day, July 7th, I lost one of my accounts. So I'm hoping that the next time around, the day after, there's not going to be an issue. It is August, it is a new month, and I want to turn over a new leaf and start over again in August. I want to have no issues going into the next Mercury retrograde and previous. Like it is like you're going to the hospital on the day that Mercury stations, the pre-shadow period of the Mercury retrograde when you're supposed to be um when it is advised for you to take note of all the conversations, of all the intellect, of all the communication that will be probably reviewing during the Mercury retrograde. Like, you're taking note of that stuff during that pre-shadow. And not only are you doing that, but you're preparing for the surgery. Then when Mercury goes retrograde, you're going into surgery. Then when Mercury is retrograde, then you're in the hospital recovering. When Mercury stations direct, you are getting out of the hospital, and during that post shadow, you're at home recovering, getting better. And then after Mercury moves on from the shadow, you're out into the world again, living your life like normal. A new chapter, new you. So that's how I think of it. I know that sounds pretty grim. It is, because it just feels like the universe is trying to test you. And it feels like when Mercury is about to go retrograde in station, it's like, okay, doom is going to come, uncertainty is going to come, things are going to go wrong. You're heading into the retrograde zone, the retrograde phase. And it's like, um, you're going into risky waters. And the universe is like, shut down, review. And it's almost like a punishment from the universe. Like, okay, all these things are going to go wrong. I'm going to not sugarcoat it. I mean, there's certain things I would like not to energize, but I'm raw and authentic. And it was tough because I lost access to my channels the day after. Now I have an account that's still waiting to be appealed, and I'll probably have to reach out to YouTube on X at this point to get that account recovered so that I can make the changes that I need to. Since July 7th, it's been out of commission. I've not been able to access it at all. Fortunately, there's not that many videos on it. As soon as I get it back, the handle and the profile picture will be different. That is sure and certain. I will, as soon as I get access to it, I will go in and make the changes. It won't take any time at all. It'll just be a couple little changes here and there, little tweaks, and then boom, it's all good. So we will see what the cards have to deal for me. But Mercury going retrograde. Um, it is a bumpy ride. And Mercury retrograde is much better in the fall and the winter because it's a more time to go more introspective, time to go introverted, reflect, review. The summer and spring is like take action, go outside the world, make things happen, da da da. And Mercury goes retrograde, you're supposed to reflect. Oh my gosh, I will not be meeting anybody new on the day that Mercury stations retrograde again. In fact, I don't want to be meeting anyone new during the retrograde period. I just don't. I want to wait till after Mercury goes direct or before Mercury goes retrograde to meet the person, and then I can really, really get to know them deeper and review it a lot better when I'm in the Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde is reviewing. You're not clear, and so you're getting into relationships during Mercury retrograde that are not based on solid ground because you're in the process of review. And if you're going out and making things happen in the summer and spring when the weather's nice and everything like that, and you're meeting people, then and you're getting a new job or whatever, then you may want to reevaluate some things and really, really be mindful of what you're doing and really, really think it out before you do it. I mean, during Mercury retrograde, it's like waiting for the next shoe to drop. Waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like anything could happen during a Mercury retrograde. Like technology could break down. And I hate to be like doom and gloom, and I hate what is coming out of my mouth right now. I really, really do. And I would spare you all this had I not had the experiences that I have had and my family has had during previous Mercury retrogrades. The past summer, when Mercury was retrograde, we bought a car. We bought a new car during that Mercury retrograde in Leo from mid-July through like into August. I don't remember the exact date. I think it's like July 18th through August 10th or something like that. I don't know. August 14th, August 12th. Maybe it's August 12th. I'm thinking August 12th is the last day of the Mercury retrograde. I could be wrong, but we got a new car and the car broke down. Um, my mom was not having a good retrograde during this time. She was born with Mercury retrograde in her chart, and so was my dad. I was born just about Mercury in my chart was about to go retrograde, but it was just stationary. So, there's a reason why they say technology breaks down, expect delays, expect all these things, because I've lived it and I know it, and I hate to say it, but as invasive and as scary and literal and wrong as it is for a planet to have such a literal impact, Mercury retrograde is really a time when things go haywire, things go wonky, things go, and I do not want to energize the negative, but oh my goodness, I can't, I'm not one to hold in my truth about it. So, proceed with caution. That's what I would tell you during Mercury retrograde. Proceed with caution. And the thing with Mercury retrograde is to meditate, take a walk in nature, ground, calm down your nervous system, calm it down. Because if you're on edge in a constant state of anxiety and waiting for the next shoe to drop and waiting for the next bad thing to happen, then you need to calm that nervous system down. You need to, settle yourself down and do the work to take the conscious action steps like that 2 podcast episodes ago when I talked about nervous system regulation, like regulate your nervous system, slow everything down, don't rush forward, just review, reflect. And it's so hard to get the most out of this transit, the review, the reflection, all that, when you're constantly having these issues come up and we're constantly worried about what is going on. I mean, maybe the issues do happen so that you can review things better. Um, get in tune with your intuition, see it's not working for you. Um, I mean, it doesn't mess around. And I am very, very, at this point, because I've experienced some negative stuff with Mercury retrogrades, I am very, very intimidated and afraid for the previous ones, especially as we get into 2027 and 2028. I'm thinking of the June 2028 Mercury retrograde. Oh, I hope that's easy. I hope that's an easy ride, flowing ride. Hope June 2028 is an easy month for everybody in the collective. Hopefully that retrograde in Gemini, in the air signs, mind you, where Mercury is stronger because it has more of a powerful impact because air is intellect communication. Mercury is exactly that. Um, you know, hopefully those Mercury retrogrades in 2027, 2028 will be graceful and not as uncomfortable as the water sign retrograde that I experienced this past, like, you know, I just have a lot of bad feelings when Mercury goes retrograde. Kind of like when you go to the hospital and you're about to have an operation and you're about to have to recover in the hospital. Like that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Except it's, you're in your home living your life. So that's my piece on Mercury retrograde. Now, moving on to today's discussion about harmonious relationships. This all comes off of a video I was seeing this morning, and I was intrigued by it because I remember what I said last night about how we need people to have differing interests and opinions to our own and things to challenge and and be different to our own beliefs. Like it's important to be open-minded and to be curious and open to change your opinions and your beliefs. Well, I don't mean that, but just open to new ideas, or like open to receiving new ideas. And um, not that, having your own sense of solid truth, but, also being open to new ideas. And the very person who did this video was a Gemini North node, a lot of Gemini in the chart, double air, Gemini Sun, Aquarius Moon, Mercury in Gemini, I think Venus in Gemini also. So you could throw that in there. I believe that she had Venus has Venus in Gemini. Anyway, someone that I follow deeply, I'm just going to give you hints as to who this is. She really, really gets into what is going wrong with human consciousness and humanity and human patterns. And it's all about shadow work, shadow work, shadow work. It is all about looking at what is going on that is wrong with us and how we need to step into awareness and the habit patterns and shadows, like overlays and things of that nature. God complexes or whatever. Law of mirroring, law of attraction, like all this stuff. Um, that she talks about. She's deeply, maybe you can figure out who this is. Deeply uh scorpionic, Plutonian. Tells it like it is. Does not sugarcoat what she says. But she really, really is coming from a caring and loving place, I think, when she delivers her information in her videos. Do not assume that she is God or the Dalai Lama or anyone of that nature. Even though she presents her videos very objective, I'm gonna tell you straight, I'm not gonna add my I think this, I think that, putting my own spin in it. Like I do that. Well, you can tell that I'm just another human being, giving my own personal takes on it. But you have to understand with her videos that it's just her own personal viewpoint and understanding of what is going on. It is not the absolute truth because there is no absolute truth. That's her North Node in Gemini. It is no one right way. There's all kind of duality to different sides. And with all the air in Gemini energy, that is a huge lesson that she is learning in her life and on a soul level. The North Node represents your soul growth, what your soul's meant to evolve into. And the soul wants to grow. It wants to experience as it needs, new things to uncover, whatever. Um, discover, self-discovery, self-realization, like all these things. Know thyself. Remember that phrase on like the temple of, whatever. Know thyself. And self-awareness is basically knowing thyself, knowing who you are as a sovereign individual. Now, Um, she was talking about something which really uh challenged some of my beliefs and some of the things that I've spoken about in this on this channel, and some of the stuff in this video, which I will not be linking because unfortunately, because of the AI dominating YouTube now, so I can't put links because it will trigger it, and there's some uncertainty with the links. So the video, and let me just find it so you can look the video up so that I can talk about it and what it is really about. We just go to my watch history. I was just seeing it today. It's in my watch history. I have to find it. And you'll find this person on my spirituality channels, I do believe. The video is called Are You Triggered by Having to Put Effort into a Relationship? Question. Type that in, you'll find who I'm talking about, you'll know exactly who I'm referring to. In this video, and I'll just name her. And this isn't anything negative toward her at all. I have nothing negative, nothing critical to say. This is all how I feel about it, what I perceive about it, what I think about it in my own beliefs. And I do believe that this person was very honest with this video, very, very real, kept it real. And, Teal Swan was the person who created this video, keeps it real. So, she made this video like several weeks ago. Like, let's see here. When was this video made? It doesn't tell me in the watch history. Several weeks ago, I want to say. And in the video, she talks about how we, when faced with the effort of of having to put effort into a relationship, we don't want to. We're like, ah, why do we have to do this? Why can't we just receive? And why can't we just be loved unconditionally for who we are and not have to give, not have to show up, not have to give? And I don't remember the exact details. Maybe I will have it pulled up so that some thoughts can come into my mind as I am doing this. I will try to have the um oh my gosh. I'm going to pause this and go back because I do not want to copyright this video by any stretch of the imagination. Never mind, I decided not to do that. Anyway, you know, yeah, it kind of rubs against my beliefs a little bit because go watch my videos, go listen to my content, listen to what I talk about on this channel, and and hear what I talk about. Um, because I talk about being your authentic self, being who you are. And in the last episode that I did last night, I talked about respecting your own individuality, respecting others' individuality, respecting others' sovereignty, giving others the space to be themselves. Okay, that I agree with. And basically this comes up against the limiting belief about self versus others. So what do? I go right back to the model that is the welcome video that I made just yesterday, I believe. The welcome video for this channel, the ego versus the soul. That's the answer right there. That's the simple answer. The short answer is ego versus soul. And that's it. But no if, ands, or buts about it. I don't want to hear it. It's ego versus soul. I don't want you to write in the comments like, just think about this very logically. No, I don't want to hear that because nope, 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 no. That is not what I believe. Okay? No, no. So I just want to make that abundantly clear because what I, the kind of message that I internalized from this video was that relationships require self-sacrifice. Committed partnerships require self-sacrifice. If I get a comment from somebody saying, if I talk about being yourself and empowering yourself to do whatever, and you're saying, have you ever been in a relationship with somebody saying, do you know what it's like to be a mother and having to take care of your children or, whatever? I don't want to hear that. Ego versus soul. If I see any comments like that, then you know what? I want to link the ego versus soul video. I want to link that video because I want you to hear what I say and in that video. I maybe I will link it. You know, I will. I will have just some autonomy. So, I want you to go see. I mean, I'm not promising that I'll link it, but I mean, maybe not. But I want you to see that ego versus soul video. If I say something and you're like, well, others have to be considered, you have to be selfless. Go back and see that ego versus soul video. That explains everything you need to know in that video. It lays it all out for you in a little bit over an hour's worth of information discussed. That is my belief, that is my truth, that is what has helped me so much with authenticity and being kind and loving to other people. And it can be both. And it all comes from the place that it is coming from, which is soul, being authentic to yourself. But the message that I internalized in this video is, oh, well, you have to show up. You have to win over the person's expectations. You have to promise. You have to deliver. Trust, accountability. You have to, and not that those are bad things, but you have to be there for the other person, make them happy. And then if you do that, you will get, love and respect back because you did things that made the other person happy. And there was a song by Barbara Streisand, If you make someone happy, you will be happy too. Whatever the song was. And when I was hearing that song, If you make someone happy, you will be happy too. I think it was I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having the limiting beliefs come up as I was listening to that song. Like I was listening to it and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm sitting in between two seats here. Now, I wouldn't say that's untrue. I would not say that's entirely untrue. I think that we all, on a soul level, feel happy when somebody else is happy in our lives to some extent, but we also have to understand that they are living out their own lives, experiences that are different from ours. They may be really, really happy and excited and feeling good about their lives, or we may be very suffering. Like there are times when people in your life will be going through it very, very, you know, so well and I mean, I hate to say this, but I'm playing devil's advocate here. But so, they may be going it through so well and enjoying their life and very fulfilling, and then you might have difficulty. Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's kind of the honest truth. Their souls were meant to experience what they're meant to experience at the time, and the universe works with them in these kind of ways to make then experience this at this time and you experience this at that time and we all go through struggles, but we just go through it at different timelines, different times. So they could have had struggles before you, they could have struggles after you, and you could be having a struggle now. You could not have the struggle and then the other person has the struggle at that time when you don't have the struggle. You see what I'm talking about? Like everybody's path is so incredibly unique to them and their soul's path, their soul's destiny in this lifetime. So, we're all meant to live out our soul's, path. That is the truth of life. We're all incarnated as an extension of God and source energy. We are all God in human form. That is, I think that that's the truth, really. That there is a divine, well, I mean, again, it may be one truth, that there is some, divine force, God, whatever you call it, God, the universe, like your higher power, the divine source energy, whatever, spirit, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. There is a divine source that is running the show. Uh, who is large and in charge? Not you, not you. Um, the universe is wise and loving, and the universe puts opportunities and tests and this and that in your path at certain times for your own growth and evolution because of love and care. Even though that hospital experience that I had was deeply challenging, wow, was it transformative. And wow, did I become such a strong person. And I got in that experience was there to then make me feel so much better on the other side of it because my medications got changed. Because I was there longer than I was supposed to have been. Um, I felt renewed. I had the time to reflect and review and come out fresh and new. And I started my YouTube channel literally the next day, the next morning. I made a video, and then another one later that afternoon on January 17th of this year. And then all these new interests got started. I was enthusiastic. I wanted to live again. My mindset was so much better than it was before. So, you see all this kind of thing going on. So I can't remember what I alluded to, you know, what you know, I was alluding to something. I don't know. I alluded to something. I don't remember what that was what I was coming back to. But going back to what I was saying about, feelings, that, your own feelings, are going to be, you know, but going back to what I was saying, it does make you feel happy on a soul level. That right there is people pleasing. And I want to talk about people pleasing. And, Till was like, okay, well, think about it of how you're gaining, of how you're becoming a better person through this. And, you could argue that, but does it feel right to you on a soul level, or does it feel like you're just going along with what the other wants, what society wants, and it just feels like meaty, bland dinner humble? Bland dinner humble, it's like going through the school of hard knocks. But do we really have to go through the school of hard knocks in relationships? I mean, seriously, so I'm going to look up people pleasing and talk about it. Now, this habit, now it is chronic, as it says here, prioritizing others' needs and desires over your own. And she was talking about in this video how we associate having to give to somebody else and having to show up for somebody else as, if I don't do this, then I will be rejected and judged. Because the example that she was giving was the person, um, childhood, the mother was deeply critical and expected no mistakes and expected him to cater to her every need. And so he associated that trauma that he experienced of having to just give to his mother, otherwise he would be rejected and loved, to then the partnership relationship. And yes, we need awareness around that, but still, partnership in the relationship, bringing you right back to that negative state of being, right back to that old narrative of having to give because, oh my gosh, I just literally see myself in a relationship trying to manage my life, trying to suffer through my adult life in this 3D world, trying to get through it in this life with all the responsibilities of all the things, and I'm trying my best to manage my life and whatever. And then there's this other person expecting all this negative stuff, all this stuff from me, to do all this stuff. And I'm like, I do this for you, I do that for you. And oh, but it's not enough. You didn't give me this, you didn't give me that, you didn't give me that, whatever. Um, and then we get into arguments like, why didn't you show up here? Why didn't you do this? Why? Judgmental, absolutely judgmental. And what I took, like, I'm sorry, but the message that I took from this was that committed relationships are conditional. That is what I internalized from hearing this video. That unfortunately, that's the truth, and that's how I took it. That's how I perceived it. That's what I got from it. And it kind of reinforced, like, wow, okay, relationships are a serious business, and you've got to have some major skin in the game if you want to be in a relationship, like a marriage relationship. And, fear of, conflict, and conflict is a good thing. Why conflict is a good thing. I want somebody to make a video on why conflict in relationship is a good it really is, we need it. We need it. We need the disagreement. We need the thing going on to work out a solution, to work out a compromise. And if you're in a relationship with somebody, you love this person or whatever, but still. Like, I love my parents, but I'm dependent upon them for a lot of things, and I do not have the drive and willingness to really, really put a whole lot of weight and effort into, um, you know, maintaining the relationships because I just allow the universe and everything to be handed to me in that relationship, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That is the honest truth. And I have enough going on mentally and enough things on my list that I want to do and that I need to do that are in my psychic awareness. I don't need anything else on top of that. I mean, I already have a busy life as it is, and I barely do anything. So, and I don't want to hear any negative comments and critical comments about this. About this. I don't want to. I don't want to see the critical comments because if I see one of those, I'm going to tell you, go watch that video on ego versus soul, and I don't want you to continue fighting me on it because I know what I'm talking about here. Ego versus soul. Okay, yes, give, provide, show up, but only if it feels natural to do so. Only if it feels like in my soul, in my truth and authenticity, this feels like the right thing to do. Do what feels right. Not having to serve and give from an ego place of, oh, you know, I don't want to do this. I really, really want to do this, but this partner's expecting me to show up and do this, so I have to do it. Well, that is people pleasing, and that is inauthenticity. And I am not about inauthenticity. That is not respecting each individual's own personal identity. Not talking about their needs, but their identity, their own authenticity, their own, who they are. I mean, yes, you could argue their own personal needs, but then you throw in the people pleasing element to it. Somebody having to cater to their needs. I'm sorry, I'm just being so natural in the relationship. I'm just being myself, and then you're complaining that I'm not doing enough for you. Then you're complaining that I'm not showing up. And I do all this stuff around the house, and you don't lift a finger. You do barely anything. Huh, I hate to say it, but you know what? That's how that you know that's what happens if you have a certain tactic in the game. It it's like you should care about others, but on a soul level. When you're in your soul, you are authentic, you are loving, you are caring, you are true to yourself. That is just a no, 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 no. That is mm-mm. Back to the model. I do not want to have a situation where I am arguing to death with somebody and I bring all this stuff about ego and soul up and they defend like, no, no, no. This is my belief, okay? The ego soul thing is my belief and I will stick to it because this is what I know to be true. And I will live by it. Because this is my truth. This is what is true for me. This is what is spiritually true for me. And I intend to authentically and fully live out that truth. And if you do not like that, then that's not my concern. That's not my business. We do not have to be friends in that way. And I think that, friendships are, freer because you're allowed a lot more freedom and space to just be yourself. You don't have to show up with all these, commitments and cater to the other person, or, whatever. So, so and then talking about like, and this is nothing critical toward Teal. I'm nothing, critical to say towards her. I find it very, very interesting. And as I said, I am disagreeing, but I was interested in hearing that video and I enjoyed hearing it. I find it really, really insightful. Um, I will say though, that like going to therapy to talk about your issue with expect others expecting things from you. Oh, well, that's a little bit too deep for me, I think. And I do not say that lightly because if you've seen my videos, I like to go deep. I'm all about integration and authenticity and this and that. But I don't know about that. It's a little veering on your inauthenticity. That's a little bit, I'm gonna just say it, too deep. Let's just stop it right there. You see the ocean floor to the bottom, and you see the sharks swimming around on that level of the ocean, and you're like, I don't want to get, eaten by the sharks. yes, I want to go deep and see what's going on underneath the water, but I don't want the sharks to eat me or hurt me. So I'm going to stop swimming, and that's my limit. I'm choosing to put a respect limit and say no. Like, no. Now, this video is not for everybody, and I do not know who needs to hear this message right now. Um, well, really? Relationships require sacrifice and people pleasing and showing up and this and that. Well, you know what? Do you hear me talking about that on my channel? I don't think you do. And there's a reason why I didn't believe it. No, I only believe it if it is at a spiritual level. If you have to do it because it makes logical sense. You're trying to protect yourself from rejection. You're trying to do all that like in your ego. That is where I say, nope, absolutely not. But if it feels like, you know what, it is the right thing to do, and you know what, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you love them deeply, then it won't feel right to show up. So I'm not completely just canceling this out. There is a lot of truth to what was said and about, relationships and this and that. But, when you combine your own beliefs, feelings, perspectives, whatever, with another person's, then there's a natural synergy that needs to be brought into some kind of relationship and combination, blending when you're with them. You know what? In my heart and soul, this is what I honestly have to say. It all depends on the person. It depends upon the person. Because if they're so critical of you and they expect so much of you, I think that that's the right relationship for you to be in. Okay? So, it's just, it's just when, we were just so, critical of, the other person and them not doing this enough, them not doing that enough, and not having acceptance for who they are, and, this and that, and, whatever. My needs to, it's a complicated thing in relationships, and I experience this on the receiving end because my mom does so many things for me in my own life. Um, oh, I don't know if I have enough humility to even go there, okay? Let's just keep it to right here, right now. Let's not overcomplicate this, okay? Let's keep it here without going too deep, without getting too in the weeds. I don't want to get too in the muck of everything. So, um, you should be in relationships where the effort should feel right and natural. If the effort does not feel right and natural, that's not the right relationship for you. That's not the right dynamic. They do not respect your own individuality and authenticity. In the queering age, you have freedom. Everyone respects their own individuality. Now that respecting your individuality and people pleasing are very different things. In fact, they could be opposite. They're both about like respecting others, but in opposite ways. Respecting other people's individuality just means accepting their freedom and letting them be who they are on their own, self-sufficient, independent, sovereign. Now, people pleasing is being dependent on somebody else or having to give to somebody else. And people pleasing is like you don't feel free. You feel trapped and like your autonomy is taken away from you because now you have to serve and show up for this other person. You see the difference here. And self-expression. I was talking about it in the context of self-expression last night. You know, but I'm not talking about self-expression. I'm talking about harmonious relationships. It should come naturally. Again, I want to reinforce it. Nothing against, again, really, really like that video. I really, really do. I found it really deeply interesting, but my own feelings and beliefs say differently. Well, still I found it interesting, but I mean, I honestly feel in my heart and soul that it should be a natural thing, a natural flowing thing to give, to show up, to do all this. And if it's not, and if what was said in the video was absolutely the right truth to say, well, I would rather just, it's kind of like monetization of my channel. If I'm going to get copyright claims for playing music that's already been created or singing music that's already been created, because in reality, that's against copyright, you know what? How I'm going to fight that? I'm not going to monetize. How I'm going to fight having to people please in relationships? I'm not going to be in a relationship because I am, as said in the video, self-aware to know myself and know that if I have to bend and sacrifice and show up for and for another person, that depletes my own authenticity, my own sovereignty. Because if in relationships you have to please, if you do that, then I don't want to be in a committed relationship because I don't talk about that stuff on my channel. It's not in my belief system. Love and care, compassion, acceptance, kindness. That's all in my belief system. But people pleasing and having to give and having to make the other feel good and have in a fake, really, really, egoic, really, really, self-sacrificing, inauthentic way. I do not believe in that one bit. I want to make that abundantly clear. If you vibe with what I'm saying, then great. If you are totally like, whoa, 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 I think that you're wrong, well, then you can, disagree. It's a tall order, I think, to be in a committed relationship. That's kind of the message that I internalized from watching this video. And it requires you to put effort into the relationship and do all this. But I do not talk about, when I talk about Libra, I do not talk about showing up for the other, people pleasing to the other, thinking, considering the other. I do not talk about putting the other before yourself, do I? No. I talk about harmony. I talk about diplomacy. I talk about considering the other side, not having to bend your, truth for the other side. I talk about putting yourself first. I talk about love and compassion in the context of soul and spirituality. That's what I talk about. Conditional love is not love. I don't care how you slice the pie. You shouldn't even have to put conditional in front of the word love. Love is unconditional. That's the fact of it. So I am aware of myself. And I know that maybe, just maybe, relationships are not for me. And that's not what the universe designed for me to, create. It's very, very difficult to get in relationships nowadays. And plus, I don't want to follow suit with with all of society's standards, with all those standards that the typical wife and husband that you see in movies, that the husband wears a button down shirt, comes home from work, sits at the table, pays the bills, and the wife cooks in the kitchen, and they argue about things, and they do whatever, and there's expectations of the man, and there's roles of the man and roles of the wife, and you have to do these things in a relationship, and like, I don't want to fall into that stereotype and that stigma of relationships and just go along with that. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want those kind of conditional relationships with people in my life. Those are not, in my opinion, loving, like what I mean, not that they're not loving, but like truly loving relationships. Love and freedom go hand in hand. If you do not feel free in the relationship, do you feel loved? I mean, this is what I strongly believe. You cannot have love without freedom. If you do not feel free in a relationship, you constantly have to give and give, then that will build up in the relationship. That will, build up to be, where you feel not free, you feel like your autonomy is not respected. I mean, I hate to say it, but for the most part, people just have to be self-sufficient and take care of themselves in relationships and be focused on their own goals. Not that they can't help each other from a heart-centered, loving place, but a lot of it is their own self-sufficiency, not being codependent, not falling into codependency. You know, you could throw in all of that stuff. I mean, I gotta tell you, I do not talk about selflessness in the context of self-sacrifice. I talk about selflessness in the context of not thinking about yourself all the time, in the context of thinking that you need to be in control, have all the power, that the world revolves around you entirely, that the universe revolves around you and your every need entirely. That's what I talk about. And you can know the difference. Again, ego versus soul. Is there anything else I want to squeeze out like an orange? Because when I do these videos, I squeeze all the juice out of the lemon. I squeeze all the juice out of the orange. Like when I do these videos, I take a lemon and I squeeze the juice. Like that's how I do my videos. That's how I've always done them, how I'll always continue to do them. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, everybody. I will see you on the next episode of the Cosmic Square Podcast. I just wanted to express this from my passionate heart, from my unruly heart in this. And I will see you on the next episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast, on the Real Me podcast, which is about me just showing you and sharing my authentic self expression with you. And I will see you in tomorrow's episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast, where I will talk about Chiron retrograde in Aries and Taurus and Aries for all 12 zodiac signs. So tune in for that episode coming tomorrow morning. Anyway, bye for now, everybody. See you next time.